Yeah, Hare Krishna. So we are now today going to look from 1.4 Gita onwards, the fourth verse of the first chapter. Um, from that point, we would be continuing our discussion. So these are verses spoken by Duryodhana to Dronacharya. So let us read the verses, and I'll be making some points in connection to this verse. अत्र शूरा महेश्वास भीमार्जुन समायुधि युयुधानो विराटश्च द्रुपदश्च महारथः. So in this verse, from this fourth verse onwards, 4, 5, and 6, Duryodhana is listing the various commanders or the important people in the Pandava army. And the interesting thing here is the psychology of Duryodhana is being depicted in these verses, where we see his fear. Okay, his fear we are going to elaborate. That is the main theme actually, the fear of Duryodhana. So if you see carefully, he's using several adjectives for when he's describing the main persons in the Pandava army. Like for example, look at this. Atra Shura. Shura is one adjective. Maheshwasaha. If you see Maheshwasaha, the Sanskrit, it comes from Maha Isha Vasa. Okay, so that is how it is. In fact, if you look at in Prabhupada's Bhagavad Gita also, Prabhupada, if you see in that word-to-word translation, Prabhupada has split that Maheshwasa as Maha Ishu Asaha. Maha means big. We all know that. Maha means big. Ishuhu actually means arrows. And Asaha means something that carries arrows. That is bow. Okay. So that means Maheshwasa means the Maheshwasa means one who carries big bows. And that's what Prabhupada also translates as mighty bowman. So these adjectives are being used by Duryodhana for the Pandava army, indicating his fear about them. Another adjective he uses in this particular verse is Maharatha. Maharatha means one who can fight 11,000 soldiers at a time. So that is, he's called as a Maharatha. Okay, one who can fight many people at a time is called Adhiratha. And one who can fight much lesser people is called Ardharatha. Very interesting that Bhishma would call Karna as Ardharatha in the Mahabharata because Karna was cursed, right? So even though he had a lot of power, when an important fight would come, he cannot perform. So that was the curse on Karna. So effectively, he was good for nothing. It's like a player who has good talent to play, but in any important match, he will never play nicely. So then all his talent is considered literally useless. So that was Karna, Ardharatha. But here, Duryodhana is calling all these people in the Pandava army as Maharatha and Yuyudhana. Yuyudhana means, literally in Sanskrit, means one who stands and fights. Okay, so basically it means one who has a lot of courage to fight. Yuyudhana, and that is Satyaki. So Satyaki had this particular name called as Duryodhana, and we are going to see much more about Satyaki very soon. But moving ahead, in the next two verses also, you see Duryodhana is listing all the important people in the Pandava army. Drishtaketu, Chekitana, Kashiraja, the king of Kashi, Puruchit, Kunti Bhoja, Shaibhya. The Shaibhya is said to be a descendant of Maharaj Shivi, whom we read about. Okay, so there was a descendant of Shivi whose name was Shaibhya, and he fought on the side of the Pandavas. Narapungavaha. And then he says, Yudhamanyascha Vikranta Uttamojascha Viryavan. There was Yudhamanya, Uttamoja, Saubhadro, the son of Subhadra, and Draupadeyascha, the sons of Draupadi. Sarva Eva Maharathaha. So basically, if you carefully see in these three verses, Duryodhana has listed 19 people in text number 4, 5, and 6. And it is very clear that he is afraid of all of them because he has used the word Viryavan, Maharathaha, Maheshwasaha. If you see the adjectives that he has used for all these people, several adjectives he has used, thus indicating the intrinsic fear he is having about these people. Otherwise, there was no need to use so many adjectives. Now, this is in contrast to what he starts doing when he talks about his own army. So let's look at 1.7, for example. So within 1.7, he's saying, Asmakam tu Vishishtaye Tanmi Bodha Dvijotamaha Nayaka Mama Sainyasya Sanyartam Tan Bravimidde. Okay, so now we are going to spend some time on this verse because this is indicating the mindset of Duryodhana here. Okay, if you see, Asmakam tu Vishishta. Okay, so Asmakam to Vishishta means literally, you know what Asmakam means? Our side. Vishishta means those who are special or those who are powerful in our side. Okay, so that is one meaning. But another meaning that comes out of this verse of from this word Asmakam to Vishishta is among our people, these are powerful. Among our people, these are powerful. Asmakam to Vishishta. हमारे side में ये लोग powerful है. That is what Duryodhana is saying. So basically, what this means, it's like saying, someone says, okay, among the fourth standard boys, these 5 boys are very good in math. Okay, so they are very good, but they are very good among the fourth standard boys. If you compare them with the 10th standard boys, the 12th standard boys, the PhD students, then they are nowhere, right? Because among them, correct? So that's the meaning. That is the meaning that comes out of this verse. Asmakam to Vishishta. Asmakam means, as I said, among our people, these are powerful. That doesn't mean that overall they are the most powerful or anything, right? And this we are going to see in detail, right? So this indicates, so what we are essentially focusing is, if you remember, we always talk about this, that the first chapter of Bhagavad Gita is the lamentation of Dhritarashtra, the lamentation of Duryodhana, and the lamentation of Arjuna. We have not yet come to the lamentation of Arjuna. Dhritarashtra's lamentation was only in one verse, where he was afraid of the effect of the holy place. And this is all what we are now reading is the lamentation of Duryodhana. So see, basically Duryodhana's psychology is such that he is having this fear. He understands deep within himself that things are not going to work very well for me. Right? That is why he's saying, among our people, these are powerful. Tanni Bodha Dvijottama, let me tell you, Nayaka Mama Sainyasya, from among our people, Sanyartham Tan Bravimite. Now, this is also an amazing word. This particular word, Sanyartham. Sanyartham, interesting, this is very interesting. Sanskrit is such a language, you can split it in so many ways. So this particular one word Sanyartham, you can split it in 2 ways. The standard way in which they have split it, like even in Prabhupada's Bhagavad Gita, if you see, Prabhupada translates Sanyartham as for information. Okay, so Sanyartham can be split as Samyak Jnanartham. Samyak means what? Complete. Samyak. Jnanartham means understanding. So for your complete understanding. ये मतलब होता है ना Sanyartham का. So that is the meaning that Prabhupada has also taken in his thing, where he's saying Samyartham is for information. But here, Ramanuja, he uses another way of splitting the same word. This is the beauty of Sanskrit. That's what I was telling last time as well, right? That Sanskrit as a language is so special that the same word contains so many meanings. So you can split the word Sanyartham in another way where you can split it as Samya and Artham. Okay. So previously I split it as Samyak and Jnanartham. Now we are saying it can also be split as Samya and Artham. Samya means what? Name. Like in Hindi and all they use Sanya, the proper noun and all they use this particular word. Sanya. Sanya means names. Samya means names. And Artham here now means list of names. So basically then the meaning of this word, what it becomes? It becomes, I am going to tell you many names. I will list many names. You can think about their greatness. Then the implied meaning of Samya and Artham, it basically becomes, these are all namesake great people. Just for namesake only they are great. Samya, just from the name perspective, there is an Artha, there is a value. मतलब नाम के वास्ते ये लोग बड़े लोग हैं बस. Okay, now why is he saying that? There is a very important reason why he says that, and that we will understand in the next verse. Because each of the people in the Kaurava army, if you see carefully, now let's go to the 8th verse, and then we will again come back to Samyartham. Each of these people who had come, the main people in the army, they all had a limitation. Let us see whom he is naming. Duryodhana is saying, Bhavan Bhishmascha Karnascha, 8 verse, Kripascha Samitin Jayaha, Ashwattama Vikarnascha, Saumadattis Tatevacha. Now he has listed many people here. Now, very interesting. All these people he has listed, they have some weakness in them. Bhavan means who? Drona. Bhishma, Karna, Kripa, Ashwattama, Vikarna, and Saumadatti. We will look at each of them. If you look at Bhishma, Drona, and Kripa, all these people, they had very special affection for the Pandavas. And it was very clear right from the beginning itself, they had said that they will not kill any of the 5 Pandavas. Bhishma had said it, and even the other 2 had indicated. They had not come to kill the Pandavas. Can you imagine? It's like a match going on. It's a cricket match. You have 2 teams. And one team, the main bowlers who are there, they are saying, we will bowl. We know to bowl very nicely. Let's go back to the West Indies team of the 1980s. They used to have very good bowlers, fast bowlers. Malcolm Marshall, Holding, and all these people. So they're good bowlers. But imagine if all these fast bowlers say, we will bowl in the match, but we will not take the wicket of the main people. So let's say in the other party, the main batsman, Tendulkar, Kohli, whoever is there, right? We will not take their wicket. So then from the captain perspective, it is all useless, right? What is the use of such people who have come here to bowl the match, but they're not going to take the wicket? So there's something like that. Bhishma had very clearly said that I'm not going to kill the 5 Pandavas. And the other 2 had also indicated that they never killed. Though there were opportunities also in the war, even for Drona, etc., but they never killed. So that was very clear, these 3 people. Then Karna. Now Karna was cursed, and this was known to everybody, mind you. Even Duryodhana knew that Karna is cursed. Karna had a desire to kill only Arjun, but it was very clear he cannot kill because he was cursed, and this was public information. Where Parshuram had made this curse to him that in an important war you will, you're going to face. So this curse he had got from multiple people. From one Brahmana also he had got this curse, whose cow he killed accidentally, Karna. So Karna was such a character. That's why Bhishma had called him as Ardharathi. Ashwathama. If you consider Ashwathama was such a character, even Drona had rejected him. Even in teaching, etc. That's why, Drona had not taught him, like even Brahmastra. He had somehow forced and got only half knowledge of how to release Brahmastra, but not to how to withdraw it back and so on. So he was rejected by his own father in terms of a teaching. Now, Vikarna, very interesting. He's quoting Vikarna here. Vikarna was also one person. He had spoken against Duryodhana during that match. When Draupadi Vastahan was there, he had spoken against Duryodhana. That is Vikarna. Basically indicating that even he had some soft corner for the Pandavas. Saumadatti. Now this story we don't know, but Ramanujacharya has pulled the stories there from the Mahabharata, which they explain. So Saumadatti is Bhurishrava. So now we'll have to a little bit understand Saumadatti story. Now it's a very interesting story. This Bhurishrava who was there, he's called as Saumadatti here. Just like Dasharatha's son Rama is Dasharathi. The son of Somadatta is Saumadatti. That is Bhurishrava. Bhurishrava's father was Somadatta. His father was Ballika, and Ballika was the younger brother of Shantanu. Okay, so Shantanu was the father of Bhishma, correct? So in this way, they were all relatives, basically. These people were relatives like that. But there is a very interesting story of Bhurishrava, especially of his father, Somadatta. It is said that the Somadatta had wanted to marry Devaki. He had a desire to marry Devaki. So what had happened was he had come to take away Devaki or something before her marriage to Vasudeva. So Vasudeva also wanted to marry Devaki. So Vasudeva had sent his brother Sini. So Vasudeva had a brother whose name was Sini to fight Somadatta. And Sini defeated Somadatta, and thus Somadatta was unable to marry Devaki. So Vasudeva ended up marrying Devaki. Now Sini's grandson was Satyaki. Okay, so please understand. Sini's grandson was Satyaki. So Satyaki was like a Krishna's nephew, correct? And there was long time enmity between these families. And there's another story also. I'm not going into the detail of that. But this Bhurishrava was cursed by Lord Shiva. He was a devotee of Narayan, but he had a curse from Lord Shiva. Okay, and it was very clear that he will not be able to accomplish much in the war. So now coming back to the point here, why Duryodhana is listing all these people is also to indicate that none of these people are going to do anything great for you. None of these people. Okay. They are all going to, they all have some weakness, as we just illustrated. And that is why, if you go back in the 7th verse, where Duryodhana is saying Sanyartham, Sanya and Artham, as I said, right? Sanya and Sarvanam, I think Vaibhavananda was saying, yeah. So basically, this is related to names. That means these are all namesake people only. You can understand their greatness only from their name. काम तो कोई करने नहीं वाला है मेरा. This was there in Duryodhana's psychology, and that is what is coming out. Now there is another proof for this. The other proof is he doesn't call any of them Maharatha or anything. Now, if you go back in verse number 4, 5, and 6, do you remember how many adjectives Duryodhana used for the Pandavas? He called them Maharatha, he called them Viryavan, he called them Maheshwasaha. He used so many adjectives when he was describing the 19 people in the Pandava army. But now when he is discussing the names of the Kaurava army, he uses only one word for them. And that, look at that word. Anyecha Bahava Shura. Shura means brave man. That's all. Shura is an adjective which indicates bravery. He is not even calling any of these people as Maheshwasa, or that means he used superlative adjectives for the Pandavas. But for his own people, he is just calling them Shura. He's saying there are many Shuras like this. And now this is the ultimate thing which indicates Duryodhana's underconfidence. What is that? Anyecha Bahava Shura Madarte Tyakta Jivitaha. Oh, on this there is such a huge, so many purports are given just on this one word. Madarte Tyakta Jivita. Right? So Prabhupada writes in his purport that it is concluded that all of them will die in the battlefield. Prabhupada writes 1 or 2 lines about this, but this point can be elaborated much more. The point here is, Duryodhana is not saying they have come to win for me. He is not even saying they are ready to give up their bodies for me. Matlab, wo bhi chal jata. Imagine Duryodhana says, like somebody says, that these people have come to fight for me and they have come to win for me. So that's like very, that shows a lot of confidence, right, on your side. If you say all these people have come to win the match for me. Okay, that may be too much. But at least if you say that they will even give up their bodies if it is needed, that also indicates something positive. At least you could say that, But here somehow Saraswati Devi, the word she put in Duryodhana's mouth when he says this, Madarte Tyakta Jivitaha in Sanskrit means they have given up their bodies. So now please try to understand what he's saying. He's not saying they will give up their body. He's saying they're dead basically. They've given up their bodies for me. Okay, so now Ramanujacharya takes this particular one word, Tyakta Jivitaha, and says, okay, then somebody may say, maybe they have given up their bodies, but at least by their giving up their bodies, will I benefit? I mean Duryodhana, correct? Is Duryodhana thinking that he will benefit by their giving up their bodies? That is also at least some positive, right? In that also there is some positive perspective of Duryodhana. If he's thinking that these people have given up their bodies, but okay, even if they give up their body, I will win the match at the end. No. The Acharya said that Duryodhana even did not have that much confidence. Okay, so for that, they use a particular phrase. In Sanskrit, there are 2 phrases they use here, very interesting ones. One is called, it's actually a little bit in Tamil, but I will just translate it to Sanskrit. It is called, it is like saying, Angushtarthaha Swarnaha. Angushtarthaha Swarnaha means Swarna for the benefit of the finger. Okay, so if I say Swarna for the benefit of finger, that means what? At least my finger benefits, right? Because I'm going to get Swarna. Swarna means gold. I'm going to get a gold ring. Okay. But there is another phrase which is popularly used in Sanskrit, which is called as Mashakarta Dhumaha. Mashaka in Sanskrit means mosquito. And Dhumaha means we all know, right? When you want to drive away mosquitoes, you lit up some agarbatti kind of a thing, right? Something to drive away the mosquito, some kind of dhupaha. So Mashakarta Dhupaha means the Dhupaha is lit not for the benefit of the mosquito. Correct. So when you use the word Mashakartaha Dhupaha, so in the previous case, when we said Angushtartaha Swarnaha, then at least the understanding is the Swarna, the gold is for the benefit of the finger. But Mashakarta Dhuma means that dhupa which is there, which you are lighting, is not for the benefit of mosquito. It is to kill the mosquito. Correct? So similarly, they say here, when this fellow is saying, when Duryodhana is saying, Madarte Tyakta Jivita, that mother here is like that of Mashaka, the mosquito. That means what Duryodhana is ending up saying is, these people are already dead and they have all come here to ensure that even literally I die in this war. Even I am going to be finished. So this becomes the meaning if you look at it from this perspective. Right? So they have all come, that is fine, but ultimately they have already died and even I am going to die. So this becomes so extremely pessimistic perspective, and this pessimism keeps going. You will see the next verse also, this pessimism is there. Right, now if you see the 10th verse, Aparyaptam tadasmakam balam bhishma virakshitam paryaptam tomidam balam bhima virakshitam. Now in this verse, this aparyaptam word is used by Srila Ramanujacharya in the context of saying aparyaptam means something that is never enough. Okay, something that is never enough, because that is also a meaning. Right? So we also know, I think it is Baladev Vidyabhushan who has given this meaning, they say, right? Aparyaptam means something that is not enough. So apparently it seems to me now that this comes from Ramanujacharya's commentary, because that's what he uses. He in fact goes on to quote a deity in Kumbakonam. So there is a place called as Kumbakonam in Tamil Nadu. And the deity in Kumbakonam, the deity of Krishna, his name is Aparyaptam Amritam. Aparyaptam Amritam means he is such an Amrit, nectar, that Lord, Aparyaptam. You will never be satisfied by having his darshan. मतलब जितना भी तुम देखते रहोगे उनको, you can stand in front of him for a very long time and keep looking, but still you will feel that you want to look at him, you want his darshan more and more and more. So that is why the deity's name is what? Aparyaptam Amritam. Aparyaptam Amritam. So that is the name of the deity, which is worshipped by the Alvars, a very ancient deity of the Lord in Kumbakonam. So there also that word aparyapta means what? Not enough, insufficient. Aparyapta. Paryapta nahi hai, right? Like in Hindi we say paryapta nahi hai, wo aparyapta ho gaya. Aparyaptam tadasmakam balam bhishma virakshitam. Bhishma, he is the person over here, and that is aparyaptam. But in the opposite side, paryaptam tomidam. It is paryapt. पर्याप्त बोलते हैं ना हम हिंदी में. पर्याप्त मतलब बहुत हो गया, पर्याप्त है, पर्याप्त मात्रा में प्रसाद है आज सबके लिए, मीन्स इनफ. पर्याप्तम tomidam etesham balam bhima virakshitam. It is protected by Bhima. Ramanujacharya also says, why is Duryodhana using Bhishma on this side and Bhima on that side? ऐसा क्यों कर रहे हो? Because if you technically see, Bhishma was the commander-in-chief of the Kaurava army. That is accepted. But the leader of the Pandava army was Drishtadyumna, right? He was the commander. Bhima was not the commander. So why is this fellow saying Bhishma on his side and Bhima on the other side? He should have said, what is his name? Drishtadyumna on the other side. The reason he says here is, now that is related to Paryapta and Aparyapta. The reason is Bhima had taken a vow that I will kill all the 100 Kauravas. Can you imagine what a vow that was? Each of these 100 Kauravas will be killed by me. He took that vow like that and he came. Whereas Bhishma came taking the vow, I will not kill the Pandavas. So Bhishma and Bhima, they stand for two opposites in this war. Both are very strong. One has come determined to take all the wickets of the opponent, and the other one has come saying that I know how to bowl very nicely, but I will not take anybody's wicket. That is why the army protected by Bhishma is aparyapta. Paryapta nahi hai wo. Because what is the use? Bhishma is leading and he has taken such a vow that he's not going to kill. And on the other hand, the other fellow Bhima, he has taken the vow to kill all 100 Kauravas. एक को भी नहीं छोड़ने वाला है वो. Right? Yes. So that is why it becomes paryapta. That is why it becomes paryapta. So now Ramanujacharya also says that aparyaptam, it comes, there is another word in Sanskrit which is called as aparimitam. Aparimitam means unmeasurable. Now, interestingly, that is the word which Prabhupada uses in his translation as well. If you see Prabhupada's translation, word to word, he uses the word immeasurable for apariyaptam, correct? So he says this word is also there, apariyaptam. That means apariyaptam can also come from this word aparimitam, which means unmeasurable, and paryaptam can come from the other word, which the opposite of that, parimitam, which means measurable. Which means there you can measure, but ours you can not measure. That means our army is so big. This could also be a meaning. But Ramanujacharya says, though both these meanings exist, Duryodhana's psychology did not allow him to accept the meaning that his army is immeasurable. Technically, he knew his army is very big and all that. But inside his heart, this fear was there. That Bhishma who is there, he has taken such a vow that he is not going to kill anybody, and the other fellow has taken a vow, he is going to kill all 100 of my brothers. Which means his army is paryapta, that is enough, right? Whereas ours is not enough. So this is why it is all about Duryodhana's lamentation only, this whole section. He is not having confidence. And now again, you will see that in the next verse also. The next verse is the last verse spoken by Duryodhana in the Bhagavad Gita, right? And this again indicates the same thing, how he is underconfident. Ayaneshu cha sarveshu yatha bhagam avastitaha bhishmamevaabhirakṣantu bhavantas sarva eva, he says. So look at what he says. He's basically saying, let us protect Bhishma. All of you must give full support to grandfather Bhishma as you stand at your respective strategic points of entrance into the phalanx of the army. That's Prabhupada's translation. Right? So what he's saying is, so the point here is that one little hope he had that Bhishma is there on our side. Because he felt, even if this Bhishma doesn't kill the Pandavas, at least he has taken a vow or whatever, he's promised me that 10,000 soldiers of the Pandavas he will kill daily. So something can happen perhaps because of Bhishma. Bhishma had assured Duryodhana before the war that daily I will kill at least 10,000 soldiers. I will not kill the Pandavas, but 10,000 fellows I will kill. Okay, fine, something. So this was some small hope for Duryodhana, and that is why he's saying, Ayaneshu cha sarveshu. Now, Ayaneshu cha sarveshu, literally, you know what it means? It means, Ayaneshu cha sarveshu means from all points. That means the idea is, Duryodhana is trying to say that Arjuna and Bhima will try to attack Bhishma from all directions. From everywhere they're going to attack. Okay? So everyone should work to protect our Bhishma. Now, another interesting psychology that comes out of this is, Duryodhana did not even have the faith that Bhishma can protect himself. Now, this is very interesting. Think about it. Duryodhana did not have the faith that Bhishma, who is such a great warrior, has the ability to protect himself. He thought that this person cannot even do that much. Hence, he was very fearful. Hence, he said that everybody should protect Bhishma. Okay, he feels that others should protect him. And how should they protect him? Yatha bhagam avastita. Yatha bhagam avastita means, literally it means, in any situation, they must protect him. Somehow or the other, they must protect him. Okay, so throughout these verses, what you basically understand is the underconfidence of Duryodhana, his lamentation. Right? We discussed in the last half an hour. He is very clear. Nothing is going to happen, which is suitable for him. Now let us contrast this with the feeling on the other side. right? So what are the Pandavas feeling? How are the Pandavas and others responding to this? So that's the second part that we'll discuss today. So first thing, what happens is when Bhishma himself heard all these statements, right? So Bhishma also was hearing what this person is talking. So what does Bhishma do? That is in the next verse. Tasya sanjanayan harsham kuru vruddha pitamaha simhanadam vinodyochahi shankam dadmo pratapavak. Just to give happiness to his grandson, what did he do? He blew his conch shell very loudly, it is said. Now, the purport given here is that Prabhupada also talks about it. Ramanuja also says the same point. He basically says that this is an example given here. Just like suppose somebody is very disappointed after the exam. Suppose let's say some student gives a particular exam or something happens to them, and they're very very disappointed. You don't go and when you meet such a person, you will not go and tell them, right, that it is all your karma only. You are going to suffer. What to do? What we try to do, we try to cheer up those people, right? When you see somebody who is extremely disappointed in life, generally decent people, what they try to do is they try to cheer up those people. Okay, don't worry, hota hai, don't worry, we are all there for you. Like they try to cheer up the person. Similarly, Ramanujacharya says that is what Bhishma is doing over here. He wants to cheer up our Duryodhana, saying that it's okay, I understand that you are feeling now. What is the use of lamenting right now? Huh? We had so many chances to avoid this war. You could have done that before. You have got everybody here and in the face of death, and now there is no point lamenting about this whole thing. So just to cheer up Duryodhana, Bhishma, what did he do? He blew his conch shell very loudly. Okay, and now let's see what happens. Tata Shankascha Beryascha Panavanaka Gomukaha Sahasevabhya Hanyanta Sashabdas Tumulo Bhavat. It is said that when that happened, when Bhishma blew, what happened? After that, all the conches, drums, bugles, trumpets, horns, everything started blowing from the Kaurava side. So on the Kaurava side, all these people started blowing their conches and all the other instruments they had, cymbals, bugles, trumpets, everything they started blowing loudly. Now comes the last part of our today's discussion. How did the Pandavas respond? Now you'll see that. Tata Shvetahayurukte Mahati Skandane Sthito Madhava Pandavashteva Divyo Shankau Pradadmatuhu. Beautiful verse. Now here what you see, something very amazing you will see in this verse if you look at it carefully. The point that is highlighted for this verse is, first the driver's name is used. Madhava and then Pandavashteva. It's very interesting. If you carefully think about it, you would never imagine anywhere that the driver is glorified first in an army. This is the first time Sanjay is now talking about Pandava army. And who is the first person he mentioned? Till now, whatever names were said, Duryodhana was saying all that. But Sanjay and Vyasa, when they are describing, they are first using Madhava Pandava Seva. First, the driver is being used. Though he is a driver, he is not just an ordinary driver. Who is he? Madhava. And now this is a separate topic we could take, but I'll still speak about it whenever it comes. In the Bhagavad Gita, every name of Krishna that comes, right, there is a reason why that name is being used. It's not that they generally, like Krishna has so many names, right? Krishna is called here as Madhava, some other place he is called as Rishikesha, and right. So in every place, Krishna's name is so many names. Krishna has so many names. But there are specific reasons why certain names are used. So Madhava has two meanings. Ma means Lakshmi. One, you can split it as Ma and Dhava. Ma means Lakshmi and Dhavan means no one. Dhavan actually means head. In one sense, Dhava means head. That means like husband. So Madhava means the husband of the goddess of fortune. So that is one meaning. That's the most important meaning in this context. Also, Ma means no. Ma also in Sanskrit means no. And Dhavan means above. Right? So Dhava can mean husband or above, some superior person. Madhava means nobody is above him. Okay, so basically that means Krishna is someone, no one is superior to him. Right? Matta parataram nanyat kinchidasti dhananjaya. No one is superior to Krishna. So the reason why Madhava is used here is to say Sanjay wants to tell Dhritarashtra, Are Dhritarashtra, bhul jao, forget it. Your party is lost. No way you're going to win. On the opposite side, who is there? Madhava is there. And because Madhava is there, the goddess of fortune is blessing the Pandavas. And they are only going to win. Absolutely no question that you will win. Okay. So this is a very important commentary for this particular verse. And Madhava and Pandava, that is Pandava in this context is Arjuna, both of them blow their conches. And then what happens later? Then all the names of the conches have been listed, right? We will read that, and then we are going to go to 18 today. So these are all. This is just a brief comment on all these verses. Panchajanyam Rishikesho Devadatham Dhananjaya Poundram Dadma Mahashankam Bhima Karma Vrikodara. Okay, so Panchajanyam, this the conch of Krishna is called as Panchajanya. Why Panchajanya? The Panchajanan was a demon who was staying in a conch, which was who was killed when Krishna had gone to search for the son of Sandipani Muni, and then out of the conch, out of that particular shell, he made his own conches, right? So that is why it is called as Panchajanya. Rishikesha, there is a beautiful purport of that given by Srila Prabhupada. You can see about how why Krishna is addressed as Rishikesha in this particular context. Devadattam Dhananjaya, and Arjuna is referred to as Dhananjaya, and his conch is Devadatta. Poundram Dadma. Now this Poundra, there's a very interesting detail for this. Poundra in Sanskrit means one who breaks. Poundra is split as Pud Kandane. Pud Kandane means to break. That means Bhima had a conch. When he would blow that conch itself, the confidence of the enemy would break. That was the power of the conch of Bhima. That was the meaning of that name, Poundram. Poundram means one that breaks. And breaks what? The confidence of the opposite party. So simply by blowing it, only half the job would be done. Okay. And his name is Vrikodaraha. Vrika means one is there is fire in the belly. But Vrika also means jackal, because jackal is an animal whose hunger is never satiated. Hamesha bhuka rehta hai, the jackal. Okay. But the interesting thing is, the jackal is always very thin. Though it is very hungry and it may eat a lot, it is very thin. And its belly is flat. So the point is Bhima Karma. Bhima Karma means one who does great activities. Vrikodaraha, he had a flat and narrow belly. Generally, in our serials or any dramas, we will see Bhima as somebody who is very stout and has a big paunch and all that. But apparently, it is not like that. He was one whose belly was flat, actually, like that of a jackal, right? I mean, it was always hungry for food, but at the same time, he had a flat belly. Not that he was going around with a huge paunch. And by his paunch only, he would break others' confidence. Ananta Vijayam Raja Kunti Putro Yudhishthiraha. Now, this word, Yudhishthir, has also been elaborated a lot over here. Yudhishthir means what? Yuddha mein sthir rehna, O Yudhishthir. Okay, now, we have to go to these words, because these words which are there in Sanskrit, they carry powerful meaning. Yudhishthir means what? Yuddha mein jo sthit rehta hai. That means he's steady in war. So the commentary given here is that Arjuna got confused before the war, right? Arjuna was, the whole Bhagavad Gita is because Arjuna was thinking, I don't want to fight. Duryodhana was also lamenting. You will see, right? We just saw just now. Duryodhana was also lamenting. Duryodhana did not have any confidence that he will win. Arjuna also lost his confidence for a different reason, compassion and all that. But both in the first chapter, you will see Duryodhana also lamenting. You will see Arjuna also lamenting. But one person who is steady in the war is Yudhishthira. He had no doubts about it, that war is needed. And this goes back to the Mahabharata. If you see in the Mahabharata, there is a chapter where when the Pandavas go to the forest, I think on the 13th day or something, Bhima is telling Yudhishthir that let us consider, because there are some Shastric injunctions in some situations, you can consider 13 days as 13 years. So basically, he was saying, let's consider these 13 days as 13 years and let us go and fight with the Kauravas. Yudhishthir was the person who stops them, saying that, hey, Bhima, because Bhima was also, Bhima and Arjuna, they were much more simple, as in they were not that diplomatic, if you carefully think like Yudhishthir Maharaj. So it is said that in the Mahabharata chapter, Bhima was also thinking in his mind that maybe we'll have to only fight with the 100 Kauravas. But Yudhishthir was very clear. Bhishma, Drona, all these people are going to stand on the side of Kauravas. And to kill Duryodhana, we'll have to ultimately fight all these people. He's telling that to Bhima. Correct? Even here, Arjun, in the Bhagavad Gita, he had a hope that maybe my grandfather will not come to fight. But Yudhishthir was very, very clear. And it is also said that just before the war begins, what does Yudhishthir do? He goes and does pranam to all these three people, Bhishma, Drona, and Kripa. And each of them tell him the same thing. Had you not come to us to seek blessings, we would have cursed you that you will lose. But now we will give you blessing that you will win, or whatever. So the point is, it is said that even that was very strategic from Yudhishthir's side. So it is said among the Pandavas, so many times we think, that Bhima and Arjun were very powerful and all that. But from strategy perspective and from being very steady perspective, Yudhishthir was way ahead of all the brothers, whether it is Duryodhana or Arjun and Bhima. That is why it's called Yudhishthira. One was steady in war. He is not confused. He knows that war is needed. Okay, maybe after the war is over, he may have felt bad for whatever happened. But before the war, he never shows any unsteadiness. At any point of time, throughout, till the end, Yudhishthir is the most steady person you will ever see. There is absolutely no lamentation from his side. He is very clear. War is needed, and there is no other way than this. Very, very clear person. Right? And in fact, he's so strategic. In the Mahabharata, you will see one chapter where he studies the art of gambling one from sage. Because he's thinking that what if later these people again challenge me to gambling and I lose? So better I study that also. So there is some tricks in gambling, how to win and all that. So there is one sage who knew that trick also. So in the Mahabharata, we had learned that also. So there is some strategic perspective. Yudhishthir was superior to all his brothers. Right? And that's why it's not just because he was elder that he was the king. He had these amazing qualities as well. Nakula Sahadevasya Sugosha Mani Pushpaka. So Nakula and Seva also, Sahadev also blew their conches. Kasyasya Parameshwasah Shikandicha Maharatah Drishtadyumno Viratasya Satyajischa Parajitah Drupado Draupadeyasya Sarvasha Prithivipate Saubhadrasya Mahabahuhu Shankan Dadmu Pratak Pratak. So all these people are listed. The Kashi Raja, Shikhandi, Drishtadyumna, Virat, Satyaki, Drupada, Draupadi's son, Abhimanyu, all of them blew their conches. But what is being said here? Pritak Pritak. Now, please try to understand. Now, this is this and the next verse is the last point of our discussion. Pritak Pritak means separately. Why is the word separately used here? Okay. Because if you see from the Kaurava army perspective, if you go to that previous verse of text number 13, it is said that it was a tumultuous sound where everything suddenly sounded and the combined sound. To indicate that from the Kaurava side, all the conches literally blew together. But here it is Pritak Pritak. It is all Pritak Pritak is one way separately. That is, separately each sound was heard. So why is this point being said? Okay, so the commentary given here is each of the Pandavas, when they were blowing their conches separately, it had the same effect or more effect than what all the Kauravas blew together. Okay, so that means the Kauravas were there, they were all blowing it together. But these people, each of them blew it Pritak Pritak separately. So there are two commentaries given, two meanings given to this. One is that even if one Pandava blew, it was enough. It was not even necessary that all these people had to blow their conches. Yes, one had only Arjun blown his conch shell. That was enough to shatter the confidence of the sons of Dhritarashtra. It was not even necessary that everybody has to blow. But now everyone blew it separately. So each of them blowing it separately, first thing it had, each of them had more effect than all the Kauravas. That's one meaning. Another meaning is even one of them was enough. Pratak, ek aadmi basta. All these people were also not needed. And what is the conclusion, the grand finale of our this whole discussion? The last verse of our discussion today. Saghosho Datra Rashranam Hridayani Vyadharayat Nabhascha Prithivim Cheva Tumulo Bayanu Nadayat. It says that these conches, when this, first of all, what happened was it echoed from the heavens. Nabhascha Prithivim Cheva. Okay, so there was an echo from the heavens when these conches were blown. That is first effect. And second thing, what happened? Datra Rashtra Hridayani Vyadharayat. Now, Prabhupada also talks about that. Hridayani Vyadharayat means it shattered the hearts of the Pandavas. Now, Prabhupada also mentions this, that, now this is very interesting if you carefully see. When the Kauravas blew the conch shell, these people's hearts were not shattered. But only when these people, when the Pandavas blew the conches, then the Kauravas' hearts were shattered. Now, why is it like that? Okay, so we'll conclude with this as the last point. So, Ramanujacharya is giving the example of Krishna. He's saying that how when Krishna, when he came to take away Rukmini for marrying Rukmini, he blew his conch. When Krishna blew his conch and came to take Rukmini away, when she was taking darshan in the temple of Devi and she was coming out, when Krishna blew his conch, Rukmini was very happy hearing the conch of Krishna. But Rukmini also heard that conch. Shishupal also heard that conch. They were very worried. They knew that now it is gone. Right? So similarly, he says here that when Krishna and Arjuna started blowing the conches only, all the people in Pandava's army were so happy to hear the sound of Krishna blowing and Arjuna blowing, and followed by all their people. So it did not shatter their hearts or anything. But the opposite party was like Rukmi and Shishupal. They were completely shattered. They knew, oh, this is the end now. Right? This is the end. And this is exactly what happens with this Rukmi also. So if you see the Bhagavatam 10th canto, it's a very beautiful story that when Krishna blows his conch and he takes Rukmini away, this Shishupal, it is said that he faints over there only literally. He becomes paralyzed. He just starts lamenting like someone lost his wife, though he was not yet married to Rukmini. Right? And Jarasandha, it's an amazing section in the 10th canto. Jarasandha is preaching Nishkama Karma Yoga to Shishupal, saying that, don't worry, victory and defeat happens. Even I was defeated 17 times by Krishna, but 18th time I became successful. Right? So all these things happen in life. Come on, cheer up. So he was trying to cheer up, just like we see here. Bhishma is trying to cheer up Duryodhana in that context. Jarasandha was trying to cheer up our Shishupal, saying that don't worry, it's okay. So basically this entire section which we read today from verse number 4 to 19 illustrates the underconfidence of Duryodhana, the underconfidence of the Kaurava army, and all indications are given in the beginning of the book itself that the Pandavas are going to come out victorious. Right? Hare Krishna. Thank you very much. Is there any question or comment? Then we can take. Anybody with any question or comment?
Hare Krishna.
Any raise of hand? Yeah, go ahead, please.
Okay, so Proji, thank you. It's a beautiful class. You have been taking out wonderful lessons. Always interesting to hear you.
It's actually, I told you, I'm hearing this commentary of Ramanujacharya in very great detail. I'm hearing the series from one teacher where every verse there is one class. I'm actually summarizing that here. But they will go in such detail, every word. In fact, later, if you see now, the next time when we start Arjuna's points, they have connected literally each of these verses with something from Ramayana. So that is how Ramanujacharya and others have given their commentary to Bhagavad Gita. It is just nectar.
Yeah, sometimes, Roji, I think that we have been we have been dictated not to hear anybody else other than, within Sampradaya. So this is wonderful because, other Sampradayas also has such beautiful explanations. I love to hear this. Okay. So my
Yeah,
question, yeah,
yeah.
you were
Go
saying
ahead.
something.
No. Fine.
Okay. Projit, this, 1.7, in the verse 1.7, you have said that, Duryodhan wanted to say that, Sangya Artham,
Yeah,
that's what Ramanujacharya has translated, and Samyak Jnana Artham, that
yeah.
Prabhupada took the earth of.
No. He
So,
has taken Ramanujara has given both meanings. Both meanings are there. See, Sanskrit
okay.
is such that both meanings come out. It's not that only one. Actually, why both? There are unlimited meanings that will come out of it.
Yeah.
But then when you want to take one particular meaning, you take it out like that. Yeah.
Acha. So, Projit, there is also an innate meaning of the speaker. So, whenever somebody says that, let us say Ramanujacharya said that there are two meanings. So, how do you then conclude that, this is exactly what Duryodhana meant? Because when somebody may speak, the words may be translated or that may be, understood in different ways. But, that is not the, innate meaning of the speaker. Speaker never
Yes.
wanted to give multiple meanings. Speaker always have a particular meaning, and that the speaker explains. So then there is a confusion when we try to translate somebody's speech in multiple ways using Sanskrit, so that scholarship becomes questionable. That is my question.
No. I'll tell you how. It is not like that. They will justify this meaning. I'll tell you how they justify. So, if you paid attention, that's why I took this whole section. If you see this section, in ample places, it comes out that Duryodhana is underconfident. See,
Hmm.
please try to understand the psychology of Duryodhana. Now, see, this is even told by our acharyas. That's why, this whole chapter is called as the chapter of lamentation, first chapter. There are
Hmm.
three lamentations here. Dhritarashtra's lamentation in first verse, Duryodhana's lamentation, and finally Arjuna's lamentation. The only difference is that Arjuna's lamentation is called as yoga because he connects his lamentation to Krishna and he gets solution for his lamentation. But the other two people only keep lamenting. Okay. So first of all, this chapter itself is a chapter of lamentation. First point. Second point. If you take this section of 10 verses, there are so many places where Duryodhana is underconfident. Like, for example, see, this is a very clear thing. He's
Hmm.
saying that all these people have come to die for me. I mean, can you imagine anybody will say this? ये सब मेरे लिए मरने के लिए आए थे.
Yeah.
मतलब it just comes
Hmm.
out of his mouth, right? Even the other things where the names that he lists now, in that there is so much of commentary. Bhavan Bhishmascha Karnascha Gripascha Samitinjaya Ashwatthama Vikarnascha Somaduktischa Devacha. Please try to understand. Half of those people were cursed. Karna was cursed. Bhurishrava was cursed. अरे श्राप लेके आए ये लोग जीतेंगे नहीं सबको मालूम
Hmm.
था ये पॉइंट try to understand. And that other verse, aparyaptam tadasmakam balam bhishma birakshitam. Bhishma and their Bhima. What a contrast. Bhishma very clearly says in the Mahabharata, this is no commentary. Bhishma Mahabharata says, I will not kill Pandavas. That's it.
Yeah.
Maximum I will do 10,000 soldiers I will kill per day. Don't expect anything else from me.
Yeah.
And Drona and Kripa also, it was well understood. They are also on the same side. Karna was cursed by two people, by one Brahmin and by a Parshuram. That Brahmin was a different person who cursed him.
Okay.
That in any critical situation, you are going to get stuck because he killed his cow. वो एक अलग story है. And Bhurishrava was cursed by Shiva. Vikarna was always compassionate to the Pandavas. So if you see now in this section, there are so many indications of Duryodhana's underconfidence. See, the whole reason, so an underconfident person may speak something, right? Even if he tries to speak something positive, something where he's trying to boost his own sense of self-worth. So you may say, okay, Duryodhan may have used these words only in a positive sense. Even if
Hmm.
he tried to do that, that inner underconfidence of his ultimately came in his words only. आ गया बाहर.
Okay.
Are you
Okay.
getting the point? So
Hmm.
see, please try to understand, while it is true that in Sanskrit you can play with words and give meanings, you can't give any meaning that is out of context. On that one verse, aparyaptam tadasmakam. Oh my God, that I as I told you, I'm hearing in my class, I'm hearing much more detail for every verse one lecture, but here I'm just summarizing. Ramanujacharya says that you will have to see this verse in this whole context. He says there are two meanings for it, and that is also right. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur and Baladev Vidyabhushan also give these two meanings only. If you have read, if you have done that Surrender Unto Me book and all, if you have read,
Yeah.
Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur gives Aparyaptam ke liye immeasurable, which is given by Prabhupada. And
Yes.
Baladev Vidyabhushan gives the word Aparyaptam means Paryapta nahi hai, enough nahi hai, like in the
Yes.
context. So Ramanujacharya takes both these meanings and he says that why that other meaning which is there, that not enough is more suitable here. Why? Because he's using Bhishma on this side and Bhima on that side. And it is very clear. Bhima has said, I'll kill all 100 fellows. He had taken a vow. He had come with that determination. See, this was the difference between these two parties. Right?
Okay.
So the thing is, so it is not, please remember, it is not, see, because if we say this, then it just becomes an academic thing. That
Hmm.
you're good with Sanskrit scholarship, so you take 100 meanings and give one meaning. No. When these acharyas, when they give meaning, when any of these commentators, they give meaning, they actually study the psychology of that character. वो character का psychology क्या है? Right? So this is the psychology of Duryodhana. There is a lamentation. There is a fear in his heart. मैं जीतने नहीं वाला हूँ, मेरा कुछ होने नहीं वाला है यहाँ पर. And this psychology is very much connected to even the previous, the Mahabharata itself, before the war, during the war. He was always saying. That's why, even later you will see during the war time, Duryodhana was always telling Bhishma, Drona that you people are not fighting enough. I'm not going to win this war. अरे उसके मन में था मैं हारने वाला हूँ, आई एम गोइंग टू लूज.
But then,
राइट.
for example, Proj, if somebody is so underconfident, why would somebody be hell bent upon fighting a war? You see, it is because of Duryodhan we say that
Yeah.
ultimately the Mahabharata happened. So,
Yes.
why, if somebody is so underconfident, why he'll go
Yeah.
for the war?
See, please try to understand. Underconfidence, as in he knows his weak points, but at the same time there is such an envy to the Pandavas. Please try to understand the character
Okay.
of Duryodhana. It is full of envy to the Pandavas. Envy means इनको, literally I have to, मतलब whatever it is, even if there is a 1% chance of me trying to crush them, I must try to crush them. He had come
Hmm.
with that type of, was born with envy, right? His personification of that. So, see, many
Hmm.
times, please remember, in our life, we don't act only according to our knowledge. We act according to our heart. Are you understanding? Each of us in our
Yeah.
life also, it is not that all decisions we are taking with our brain. Most of the
Hmm.
decisions we take with our heart only. We end up taking with our heart. Emotionally, we take a decision. And
Yeah.
that's exactly what happens. Even Dhritarashtra, it is not that it is that Dhritarashtra doesn't know the power of these people. He knows. But then that envy is there, somehow we have to win. Somehow. So
Hmm.
that is a problem, right? There is a inner feeling
Okay.
where intrinsically you will get defeated, but then still you want to try your best and deny because of that deep-rooted enviousness.
Yeah. Okay. Uh, Thank you. Another question, just last one, Proji, that how
Yeah.
this curse thing works in Kali Yuga. For example, sometimes in families also, somebody may speak out, unwanted words in family while things, go a little heated up. So how things work, especially these curses, like Ravana was, containing lot of curses, he was doomed. Karna was cursed, twice, thrice, so he was doomed. So sometimes devotees also speaks in a very curseful way. So how it
Yeah.
works in Kali Yuga?
See, fortunately, it doesn't work so well, Kali, because to curse you need some tapobal, no? That means, see, this whole concept of curse comes from this, the austerity, the tapobal of that particular person. It is that tapobal because of which when he says something, it becomes true. So even the curse becomes true. But
Okay.
fortunately, or whatever, Kali Yuga, people don't have that tapobal, right? So even though anybody may say anything,
Mm-hmm.
they don't carry the weight. These people whom we are seeing in Shastra like Mahabharata, they are all carrying a great amount of weight in their personality, of tapasya.
Mm-hmm.
So that is why
So
their curses work.
okay, so
Otherwise, how
when
will curse
somebody
work?
speaks, some bad words in family, so it does not hurt because
Yeah, it is like, they are wishing that some evil will happen, but so that's why, see, that's why now let's look at the opposite of curse, blessing. Why do we fall at the feet of elders and take their blessing? हमारे इसमें है ना, बड़ों के पैर छू के आशीर्वाद
yes,
लो. Why
yes,
do we do that? Because see, every person has some tapasya also. Every individual has some tapasya. So in one level, by getting too much curses, even in Kali Yuga, tapasya kam hai, lekin kuch to hai na, unka tapasya.
जी जी
So
जी,
that, yeah, so that also in some sense, it could make a difference where, you unnecessarily, one shouldn't. So as a principle, we shouldn't gather the curse of anybody. We should try to gather blessings only of all, because that's a fact. I mean, that is a fact. But again, this is all depending on how powerful that person is. See,
hmm,
right? So if you see elderly people generally, like your grandfather, very honest person,
yes,
very nicely he worked all his life, right? Reading Ramayana and all that. So very devotional also. Such personalities, they are carrying a lot of tapasya with them. So at least when we take their good wishes, that comes true. That's why we fall at their feet and we take blessings from them.
yes, yes. Okay, thank you, Proji.
Hare Krishna. Any other comment? Anybody else with any other comment?
Hare Krishna Guru.
Yes, Haribo.
We are aware of that this Bhishma took oath that he won't kill the Pandavas. Again, he took another oath that I will kill the Pandavas with these 5 arrows. It looks like contradicting. Normally, they don't go back on their word. How can we?
Yeah. Very good. See, there are two things in it. One thing is, see, again, we'll have to continue this particular understanding only here. Duryodhana's lamentation is not only in this Bhagavad Gita first chapter. Later in the Mahabharata also, he's always lamenting with Bhishma and Drona that you people are not doing enough. And Bhishma, when he says, these 5 arrows with these 5 arrows I'm going to kill, there is also another internal meaning or understanding where he knows very clearly that Krishna will do something and take away these 5 arrows. This was known to Bhishma. Because, see, and that's exactly what happens. In that story, if you see, or the ninth day or whenever, when he says that, okay, these 5 arrows, and I think the story is also there, that Duryodhana keeps those 5 arrows with himself. I'm not sure whether it's a folk tale or it is in a Mahabharata. I'll have to just check that. Maybe I'll just check that once and say. But in any case, the story that I've heard also, Krishna takes Yudhishthir to Duryodhana and they take the 5 arrows back, saying that please give these 5 arrows. And then next day when Bhishma is asking Duryodhana, where are those 5 arrows? Duryodhana has nothing to show because Krishna has already taken it. So this story, whether it is in the Mahabharata of Vyasa or it is a folk tale, I just need to check up because sometimes some stories are not exactly the Vyasa story. They are folk tales which add sweetness to the story. But in either case, the same message is maintained. That it was all a plan orchestrated just to show the greatness of Krishna, who eventually takes away these 5 arrows and protects his devotees. So Bhishma's vow remains, right? Because that is also there, that Krishna works to fulfill the vow of his devotee. So Bhishma had also taken another vow that I will make Krishna take weapon. So Krishna broke his own vow to ensure Bhishma's vow becomes true.
Yes,
Is
yes.
that okay?
Thank you.
Yes, Mataji.
Another question.
Yeah, you have another question? Sorry.
Haribol Prabhuji, please accept my humble request.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes, Prabhuji. Can I ask Prabhuji?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. Prabhuji, Tyakta Jivika means you are saying, I have this doubt earlier also. They are going to give up their lives or they have already given up their lives?
Yeah, no, Ramanujara's commentary says he explains the Sanskrit as they have given up their life. Tyakta Jivitaha. That means they have already died for me. That's what he says. Is the meaning of this word. Obviously, I don't know. I don't know Sanskrit at
Already
all.
given up their
Yeah.
lives means how to understand that? Prabhu?
Already given up their lives in the context is in the sense that they are all like living dead people. They have come here means they are all dead only. It's like it's just time is separating death and them. They're dead basically. Correct. So in a sense, it's like that. It is to be seen like that. Sakta Divita means, of course, literally everybody knows they're alive only. Everybody is standing. The war has not started. Nobody has died. But in this context, already died means from Duryodhana's mouth, what he says here is that Saraswati Devi puts this word that instead of even saying that they have come here prepared to give up their life, he says that they are dead. They have given up their life. Okay.
So it is the statement given by Duryodhana.
It is a statement given by Duryodhana, but that indicates his own feelings, his own inner feelings, where he feels strongly that मेरा कुछ होने नहीं वाला यहाँ पर. All these people. So that's why you have to see the whole section. See, where does this section end? This section ends with text number 19. What is that word? Text number 19. Hridayani vyadharayat. Not only Duryodhana, all the 100 Kauravas' hearts were shattered. That's it. Correct? So this section ends with that. Right? So the middle, beginning and end of the section, you only see lamentation of the sons of Duryodhana.
Yes.
And their lamentation has no solution, unlike Arjuna's lamentation. Arjuna will start lamenting, but there is a solution for it.
Yes.
So the thing is, so what Ramanuja is, so Duryodhana wanted to say that they have come and they're ready to die for me, but somehow he ended up saying that. See, it's like this. You have something, you desire to say something, but sometimes your heart feels so much about something, you end up saying something else only, like that.
Yes. So I had a confusion earlier also. Now I got the clarity. Thank you, Prabhu.
Okay.
Just the last thing, the previous series was also nectarian. So, how are you going to, plan to complete that?
Yeah, I'll just pause the record.